Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of DJ Ourtake. I'm Dharma.
I'm Jess.
And today we are here with Gracie.
Hello.
And obviously Gracie's from Lavender Podcasts.
Hello.
And she's been on our podcast before. How you doing, Gracie?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
We're good.
Yeah,
it's the end of a long week.
Yeah.
We're getting there. We're slowly getting our project done, which just makes me really happy. So, on today's episode, we are talking about the LGBTQ plus community and how it is shown / portrayed in film, TV, and media. So, here we go.
Are in the lightning bolt, or how many stars are in the sky?
You know, it took us like 5 attempts to get that intro.
It did. I apologise. This is why Dan was not allowed to do the intros.
Yes. So, first, what does LGBTQ, the long one, stand for? So, lesbian,
yes.
Gay, bisexual, transgender, transsexual, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, ally, and pansexual.
Yes. This is why we stick to the LGBTQ plus community, because it's so much simpler.
Also known as the rainbow community. I just have to put that in there.
Or the queer community.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's also different names for it. It all kind of just comes under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
Really.
I personally love the rainbow community because rainbows makes you feel happy.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
rainbow. Okay, swiftly moving on from that. We wanted to talk about it because it is a big, not problem as such. That's not what I meant.
Social debate.
Yeah.
Especially in our class.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Especially in our class. If you know us or if you've seen any of our other podcasts or videos, you know that we have a few people in our class
that we don't like.
And who are troublesome and annoying, and the reason we're banned from doing class debates.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's really important that we start from not such the beginning, but a really clear standing point, and that is the difference between sexuality and gender.
Yep.
Okay, so I found these definitions online. I backed them up from different websites, so they're quite secure. Obviously, feel free to cut in and tell me. But okay, so for sexuality, your sexuality is about who you're interested in dating, being intimate with, or being in a relationship with. It's who you choose, whether that be a girl, boy, or non-binary, etc.
Yeah,
Okay. That's pretty
pretty
accurate.
much it.
And then for gender, your gender is what you identify as, i.e. female, male, non-binary, and other.
Mm-hmm.
I stick to those three because I don't really know the others. They're the three I know. But obviously there's loads more.
Yeah, there's lots of different genders, yeah.
The gender in
There's
which
64 guys.
the gender in which someone identifies himself by may not be the original gender that the first person was born with.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's really good that we make that clear, because obviously a lot of people get confused between sexuality and gender, and I know from my own experience and talking to other people about it, there is a huge misconception that somehow gender and sexuality are linked, and they're not at all. The only reason they're connected in the acronym is because they're
part of a
minority group, and they need to be included somewhere, so it felt right to have it included in there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sexuality and gender, although they are connected in that way, they're not connected in any other way. So just because you're transgender or non-binary or any of the other genders that aren't necessarily the traditional male or female does not mean that you are gay,
invalid,
straight, bisexual, lesbian, whatever, asexual, whatever, all the different sexualities. You could be straight, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Those two are not
I know,
the same.
I know, guys, it's hard to fathom, especially if you grow up in a generation where it wasn't the norm. But for us, we're quite lucky in the fact that obviously it's still not normal.
No,
but it's everything's changing.
Yeah, there's still a lot of discrimination that goes on against, especially people who are experimenting with gender. I think sexuality's somewhat better. It's still not there. It still has a lot of issues that need to be fixed. But however, it is a lot better than it has been in the past.
Definitely.
However, with gender, I feel like this is the time where it's kind of becoming more progressive, and it's becoming more updated in that term, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So, we are going to swiftly move on into examples of film and TV that represent, we feel, the LGBT community in a good way.
Yeah.
So, I will start. So I watch a lot of American shows, so a lot of these shows are very similar in terms of, you know, they're about medical, they're about fire, they're about police, or they link in with each other. So my first show is Chicago Fire, and I just want to thank my friend for helping me with this, because she gave me some really good pointers, because I was like, what do I write? And she's like, oh, you could write this, write that, and I was like, thanks. Okay, so, oh god, I keep knocking the microphone, I do apologise, guys. Right, so first show is Chicago Fire. The main example being Elizabeth Shea, goes by Shea. You know, she was one of the main characters on the show. She was a paramedic on Ambulance 61, and she was she was very open about her sexuality. She was a lesbian, clear as day. Like, and I don't mean that there are aspects that you can tell, but she was just like,
open with her sexuality
you know,
in that way,
I'm a lesbian. Like, she was happy about it and proud about it. You know, she was very open about her sexuality, and didn't care what other people thought of her, which I loved, because she didn't let someone who said something bad to her just go out. It just went over her head, really. Yeah. Which I thought was really nice. She was always quite bubbly in that way. You know, throughout the series, because she wasn't... Jessica!
Sorry.
Throughout, because they're currently on season 7, and they have been renewed for season 8, she spoiler alert, guys, she died. So she was only in it up until season 3, I believe.
I have no idea. I don't know what you're asking me.
No,
I've never seen
I was
this.
in, but season 3. So, you know, throughout the seasons she was in, she's had very mixed relationship statuses and types, like, as a whole. You know, she's been in and out of relationships. Shea had a very close friendship with one of the other firefighters who is still in the show. He's actually really one of the main characters in the show, Kelly Severide, or Lieutenant Kelly Severide, should I say. You know, he was basically the first person she met by walking into the firehouse and saying, hi, you know, I'm Leslie Shea, blah, blah, blah. They were best friends, and they helped each other through so much. Unless you watch the show, you really don't understand how much. To skip into it, and I'm going to try and say this in the least complicated way ever, because the way I've written it down is so complicated.
Yeah, it was a bit extra.
Right, so in season 2, Shea was in a relationship... Well, actually, start again. So Shea was in a relationship with a woman who was bisexual. When they broke up, that said woman went off to get married with a man. You know, they were happily married up until a point of when they were pregnant. Oh, not they. She was pregnant, and they ended up wanting to get a divorce. They hadn't officially divorced, but they were going through the process, and she actually went back to Shea. And obviously Shea was then dating her throughout the time of the birth and raising the baby in the first couple of weeks. You know, she fell in love with the baby. She loved the baby. Like, Kelly was even involved because Shea and Kelly lived together. And then this person went to New York with the baby because her husband was moving there, and he was going to fight for full custody of the baby. So it was the only way she'd be able to keep the baby.
Yeah.
So obviously, she ended up leaving and, you know, taking a piece of Shea's heart with them. And after this, Shea decided that she wanted to have a baby. Because she loved that baby so much. She decided she wanted to have a baby, but obviously she's a lesbian, so she had to find alternative ways of doing it, and she decided that she wanted to do it through IVF. She eventually asked Kelly if he wanted to be the donor and if he wanted to be the father, because they had such a good connection. You know, they already lived together. He was a part of the baby's life too. Yeah. Yada yada yada. Originally it shocked him. It was like, whoa, but you know, you can expect that. Like, do you want to have a baby with me? Okay. But he eventually said yes, and they were going to go through the routes. You know, she was umming and ahhing about which way to do it because IVF costs a lot of money. And at one point it was even discussed, you know, you could just do it the cheap way. You know, you get yourself into the position, like, into the right frame of mind, and I just come in and we do it that way. Eventually it turns around her dad was going to pay for it. You know, he wanted a grandchild, and he would be willing to pay to get one. So they were going to do it through that way. Obviously she went through the injections and everything, and then the window where they could do the insemination, he couldn't get there. He didn't have his phone on him. He couldn't get there. He didn't get the call. And then obviously that inevitably leads to her being really angry about it. And then a lot of stuff happens with Kelly regarding that situation, why he couldn't come to her, where she becomes more understanding, look, I don't care. And then right after this, I'm really sorry guys, this is another spoiler, right after this, you know, when they kind of make up, they're outside of a warehouse building fire, and they're kind of like, look, I love you, you know, I really don't care, like, we'll do it again, it's fine. I don't want to lose you as my best friend.
Yeah.
So they go into the building. Shay never makes it out the building alive, sadly.
Yeah.
She dies, which really plays an impact on Kelly. But, and yeah, that's not just it though. Since her death, she hasn't just been forgotten. Not always, but they bring her up so much. Like, you know, she's on the wall. Her name's on the ambulance that she like worked in. Obviously, at the time, her partner, who's now no longer in the show, she's only recently left. Her work partner, her best friend.
Yeah.
You know, they were always talking about her. The new paramedic, Sylvie Brett. Like, at first, when Kelly saw her, it was like, what the hell? Because she's a blonde, exactly like Shay, and from the back, it looked like Shay. So they've always preserved her memory. And the show was so open about the LGBT community. Like, they're so supportive, and I just love it. It's so good.
I think that was obvious by that very passionate speech.
Oh, mate, I have them for like 4 more shows, so have fun with that.
I have another TV show which is more crude and rude, but it's really like in your face, and Gracie knows it. So, Super Drags.
Oh,
yes.
Oh. Modern masterpiece.
It is a modern masterpiece. It's an adult cartoon about 3 drag queens who basically have to save the world from another drag queen who's like, I'm going to give you a massive spoiler so we can talk about it. The evil drag queen is actually the guy who runs King's Come conversion camp.
Yeah. Oh, major spoilers there.
Yeah,
great,
major spoilers.
Great show.
It's a great show. I can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny that like how they've done it in that show is they obviously, they're all drag queens, they're drag queen superheroes. It's obvious that it's like, they're not trying to hide what they are, and it's so in your face and so funny because they don't try and hide it. Like Jess said, it's really rude, it's quite crude, it's not like trying to be anything that it isn't, it's just in your face.
It's really like taking the fact that people are angry that gay is in your face, and they're going, well, have it even more.
Yeah, exactly, that is pretty much what it is. And I like, actually, they do cover some pretty serious topics in that. You know, they look at gay conversion camps, which unfortunately is still a part of everyday society, and although they are illegal now in a lot of countries, they are still happening, and they're just a bit more discreet in what they are called. But unfortunately, it's still a very, very real issue that people of that community have to face, especially those who have a normally quite a religious background or religious family background. That's where those kind of camps tend to come from. Which is really sad, obviously, but I'm glad like they do it in a very comedic and light-hearted way. And then, like Jess said, spoilers, but the evil drag queen turns out to actually be the guy who runs the gay conversion camp. So again, it kind of pushes this idea that a lot of people have, and that I also have, is when people are so strongly homophobic, it's because they
must be gay,
and they are not comfortable with their sexuality, and they're just trying to suppress it even more. Which I think is pretty realistic, if I'm honest, in my experience. But yeah, I think it's a good example. Yeah,
covers some real issues that people face every day, but by putting it into a cartoon
it's just
thing,
it's funny, and it's light-hearted,
makes you look at it in a much more light-hearted way, and it makes you actually want to think about it rather than if they push it on you like in a really dark way. It'll be like, oh, I don't want to think about that, it's too depressing, it's too upsetting, sort of thing.
So my other example I have, TV example, is actually a British show. I don't know, Shot Cora Dunn watches a British show. I mean, if you knew how many American shows I watch, then you'd understand. So again, it's a medical show, Casualty. Again, it's quite a long one, but I'm going to just sum it down as much as possible. So they, in general, are very open to the LGBTQ community. Why can't I say that today? I just can't. I
have no idea. You keep like trying to skip letters, and you keep trying to like.
I do apologise. I'm not doing it intentionally. So I've watched the show for many, many years. That makes me sound old.
It does, it really does.
I mean, I've watched it for like 10 years. I'm 16, so I watched it for like 10, 11, possibly even 12 years. Blaming my nan. Thanks, Nan, for getting me hooked on it, though. So one of the old doctors in it, who's long gone now and has been for quite many seasons, is Toby De Silva, and he's a really good example because, unlike my other examples, so like, well, besides Grey's Anatomy, but I have Station 19 and Chicago Fire, those characters are openly like gay, and they admit that.
Yeah.
Whereas with this one, it was a case of he kind of at first he wasn't sure, but he wasn't happy dating a woman.
Yeah.
So he did actually, you know, he had an encounter with his female colleague. He'd been known to be dating someone like a female in the show. And, you know, throughout his time on the show, he's had relationships with women, like I said. However, in season 23, his colleague Ruth actually catches him in bed with Ben Harding, aka the counsellor.
Okay.
Because Toby's been seeing him for confidence and issues at work and blah, blah, blah. You know, the episode after this, Toby's in a really good mood regarding that incident. Well, not an incident, but you know what I mean. But Ruth Ruth kind of lets it slip that she saw them in bed together, and then he tries to deny that there's anything going on. Ruth kind of fears that Ben is taking advantage of Toby, so she reports it to Nick Jordan. And then going from this, you know, Toby's trying to say, he doesn't want to admit that he's gay.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't want to let Ben, suffer, so he's, at a loss of what to do, which I think is really, important because he's still questioning his sexuality.
Yeah.
I think it's giving an opportunity to show that for some people coming out isn't as simple as,
exactly.
I think I'm gay. It's such a long journey for some people.
And then it gets to a point where, you know, Ben confronts Toby about everything that's happened, and although Toby tries to sort the situation out, he just ends up making it worse as such, because obviously he's still not admitting it. He can't like I said, he can't admit to Jordan that, you know, Ben didn't take advantage of him, that it was consensual. And then rumours obviously start to spread about his sexuality, which then makes Toby nervous. I don't know how to sum this bit up. Okay, so a few episodes later, Toby decides to withdraw the allegation around Ben, which obviously then leads to the rumours spreading even further, becoming more serious, blah, blah, blah. And then later at the staff party, he actually resigns. Well, a very, very drunk Toby resigns.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, screw you all, blah, 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 blah. Still doesn't come out. He leaves. He throws his ID into the water and then goes, oh, I'm going to need that to get my stuff out my locker. Goes to get it, ends up getting trapped in the boat that he jumps in because it's old and his leg gets caught through it and stuff. Long story short, he drowns. He's alive though. One of the nurses comes out and sees him struggling, because at the time he's kind of struggling. He jumps in, saves him, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously a few days later, he comes around in the hospital, where he ends up telling his father that, you know, his dad's kind of yelling at him like, you're just throwing away years of your education, like years of your training.
Yeah.
But Toby's adamant, like, no, I'm not. And then he actually admits to his dad that he's gay, which at that moment everyone was just like, yay, because you just seen it building and building. Like, it's like, we know you're gay, just please come out. You know, he starts to accept that he's gay, and then he starts being more open about himself, and you see in the short time between that and him actually departing the show, you see like a big weight lifted off his shoulders, which I think is really accurate.
Yeah.
You know, he makes his decision to leave the hospital as he feels he'd be better as like a GP or something, because the hospital environment's just not good for him. So, you know, he leaves, and then his last scene of him walking out the hospital, he's greeted by Ben. So then the rumours are like, because this is a little while later, the rumours are kind of confirmed that they have been dating. Yeah. Kind of shows they have been dating. They're happily dating. They're all good together. And then, so that kind of like ends there. And then in a few later series, because Ben's still in the show, he's not a series regular, but he appears here and there.
Yeah.
He's actually over at the pub, and Toby comes to pick him up. So Toby makes a guest appearance, comes, picks him up. And then that's like when they kind of reveal, you know, that they're married, they're still happily dating. And again, throughout like other episodes when Ben's in it, if he's talking to a patient, like obviously his colleague and knows him, he's like, he has mentioned Toby before and as his husband, and how like happy he is, which just makes you just like your heart swell. Like they're really good. And then I was thinking, like, so that's kind of that example. And then through this show, there's another example more recently of Nurse Jamie. He was scared to come. His uncle was paramedic Jeff.
Yeah.
And he was scared to come out to him and his dad. You know, Jeff turns out to be very, very supportive, which does not surprise me. If you've seen the show, you know, like, if you knew who Jeff was, then you get it. his dad was not supportive. Like, he was kind of like, you know, you're disgusting,
Yeah.
blah, 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 which is kind of really accurate in the fact that some people face that, which I thought was really good. You know, his colleagues were really supportive, and it actually turns, like, he ended up starting to date, it was an old patient who then came back in with a neighbour, being really kind. You know, they kind of fall in love, and he's like, do I love him, do I not? And then that person ends up leaving job opportunity, I think, in like Australia, the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And he basically says, like, I will buy you with, like, he ends up leaving.
Yeah.
And Jamie's like all sad and that, and then this guy's like, I will buy you a ticket, I want to be with you.
Yeah.
And he ends up buying him a ticket, and he leaves the show.
Uh-huh.
And he leaves happily after love. And then he does make a guest appearance back in his uncle's funeral, because Jeff dies. Spoilers. This happened like quite a while ago. But it just, you know, it just shows that the process of coming out and how hard it can be.
How difficult it can be. I think a lot of people don't understand. If people have never had to come out before, they don't understand how big a deal it is. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't see the big issue, just come out and just say you're gay. And it's like, it's not as simple as just saying, oh, by the way, guys, I like this kind of person. It's a lot more complicated than that.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Do you want me to go on to my next one? I have a film now.
Cool.
Break up the TV shows.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of still picking. I think I'm going to go with The Danish Girl. Because that is one of my all-time favourite films. I, like, cry every time I watch it.
I haven't seen it, so I'm just going to hear to what you have to say, really.
So, it's about... You know, I can never remember the character names. Because I'm awful.
Keep talking. I'll figure it out.
But Eddie Redmayne is main character who, after modelling for his wife's painting, kind of discovers that he's trans.
Oh, and I think I know what film you're on about.
Lily,
that's it.
Yeah, I know what film you're on about. I haven't seen it, but I've seen the trailer.
Yeah. So he decides that he wants to become Lily after his wife, Gerda?
yes.
Gerda,
something like that.
has dressed him up in all these clothes, and they actually go out together as cousins. And it's really sweet until Gerda decides she doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I get really angry because everyone's like, she's amazing. Lily then goes to look at getting gender reassignment surgery.
Yeah.
And this is back when it was a very, very new thing. One other person had it on record.
Yeah.
And it's a very scary time. And I think that still applies nowadays. It's a really scary time to, like, you're changing your whole body, and you still don't know if you're going to come out how you want to. It's a very emotional time.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, after the surgery, she dies. So it's really, like, that's why I cry.
It's very emotional.
It's a very emotional roller coaster.
Oh, okay, thanks for that. I don't, as good as it sounds, I don't think I can watch it if it's emotional. I watch too many emotional things. I can't cope.
Yeah, it's just a very emotional roller coaster. But I think it's so, like, even though it's set, I don't know what to say. Even though it's set way back when, in Austria,
I think it's still quite accurate in today's society, and the fact that people still, like, I don't know, people, like, think it's so, especially with the relationship between, like,
if you're, like, married to someone and they, like, then turn around and go, actually, I'm trans and I am this gender, people who they're married to are usually like, well, I like you, but I don't love you anymore.
Yeah.
And it's, like, a really hard thing to go through.
To be honest, though, like, I mean, I don't know how to say this. Like,
I think it depends on the couple, though.
Yeah.
Like, I know what you're gonna. I think
I don't want to be offensive, but I can understand.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you've for all you know, you've, like, been with this person for years, and then they just, like, obviously it's up. Like, I'm not against their decision.
I don't know what you mean, but it's like they're a different person. Or
Exactly.
they are the same person. There are parts of them that are going to change. I think it just depends on the couple. I think it depends on the people. Like, I think a lot of people now, hopefully, are feeling they can come out as trans a lot sooner. So it means that there's not that
awkward
abandonedness
time.
kind of thing.
It's like, I saw a show the other day. I think it was a segment from Gogglebox Australia. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But her husband decided that he wanted to be female. And you know, he'd only ever done it around the house before.
Yeah.
And, like, that she was like, I can get over that. I can deal with that. and then he decided, you know, I want to start doing it out in public.
Yeah.
And they went out, like, it really shocked me when I saw him with his wig, and I was like, bloody hell, like, she looked amazing with it when, like, she had all her makeup and clothes on. I was like, you look amazing. And then she got given a proper proper weave thing, I don't know, and it looked even better. And the wife, like, at first was really unsure about going out, and then was like, do you know what, I love you and I promise to be with you. And then they went out, and she said, I'm alright with it, because deep down he's like that. They're still the person I fell in love with.
I mean, obviously for some people it is difficult, and I do respect that, but it's very much of you are still the same person, and although you know you're changing, it's actually you're learning more about that person, not less. So actually the fact that they're this way in front of you, and the fact they can be themselves in that way, is actually showing that they know you and want, like, they love you and they feel safe around you more than if they were living this lie and pretending to be something they weren't. Yeah, I think that's a really good example. I think it's very, although like you said, it is set in a different time in a different country, it's still
relevant today, here,
especially. And also, you know, gender reassignment surgery is you know, although it's safer than it has been ever before, it's still dangerous. It still comes with its issues.
It's still very scary for people who have it.
It's extremely scary for people that have it, and I think there's still a lot of people who are against it because they're very much of a, what if you change your mind? And I think what I would say to that, obviously I'm not trans, but I know trans people, and I've had conversations with them at length about this, is you don't change your mind about something like that. That is not something that you go, I think I want to be a woman today. Or maybe not, I don't know.
That's kind of
I know exactly.
I
know exactly what you want about as well, because, you know, we do have a friend, I have a friend that's gone through it as well, and I have spoken to them about it. And for me, it was quite eye-opening in the fact that, yes, I knew about all this stuff, but I hadn't really thought about it properly. And it's like, to be honest, I didn't even know. Like, you've seen him for the first time. I generally did not even know. And it's not until we sat down and had a conversation, and he was fine with it. He was joking about it, and I was like, wait, what? And he went, did you not know? And I was like, no. He's like, oh my god, I thought everyone knew. And I was like, no.
I think a lot of people tend to be quite blasé and quite try and make it quite humorous, because that's really the only way you can kind of get through it. I think it's the same as sexuality though, isn't it? Like, I know I constantly joke about my own sexuality because otherwise you just get quite upset by it.
Because we have idiots that are in our class that try and make us feel, I'm just not gonna even try and censor myself, they make us feel like shit about who we are, and like sorry, it's not fair.
It isn't fair.
It isn't.
And I think something that is definitely important to talk about is like the heteronormative ideologies that are still existing. And to me, that's like so frustrating as someone who's part of that community. It's like, why is this still the norm? This is a man and a woman is
why is straight the default?
Why is straight default at this point? And it's like, I don't know, to me it's just kind of like, you know, I've been really lucky in my house. It's always kind of been love whoever you want to love.
Same.
But I know for a lot of people that isn't the case, and I can't imagine how difficult that must be. And especially for, and again, I'm not saying it's easier or worse for everyone, but, you know, just as my experience as a woman, it's hard when you are, so if you had to come out as a lesbian, and, you know, there is stuff that, you know, your parents might have said, you know, oh, I really want you to have kids and all this kind of stuff, and I guess it just changes a lot really quickly, and it's like, you know, oh, excuse me, it's like, you know, when you have the dad saying, I'm really sorry guys, and you have the dad saying, you know, oh well, I wanted to walk her down the aisle and meet her future husband and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, you can still do that stuff.
You can meet my future wife.
Exactly, you can still do that stuff. It's not stopping that, but I think it's definitely an adjustment, and I think, you know, like I said, I'm definitely lucky in the fact that I haven't had to experience that particularly. If my more extended family have not been super supportive, and it has been a struggle, but at the same time, it's just, as long as the people who are really close to you understand it, it doesn't really matter.
It's like, I growing up in a family where, especially in the more recent years, at the end of the day, as long as I'm happy, my parents really don't care. As long as I'm happy, I'm safe. They just want me to bring them home and be like, Mum, this is my girlfriend, Mum, this is my boyfriend. They don't want me to be like, oh, Mum, I'm gay. Like, they don't want me to have to come out. They just want me to walk home and be like, Mum, this is my girlfriend. Like, you know. And then I'm quite lucky in the fact of that. And then, like I was brought up earlier in a previous podcast, my grandparents not that they're not accepting over it, but they grew up in a generation where it was completely different. Like, you know, my granddad, obviously my nan as well, there's only a few between them, grew up in a time, especially my granddad, when it was illegal to be gay.
Yeah.
So I understand that he has different opinions on me, and I understand that they're not accepting of it. Like, I get that. You know, you grew up in a time where it's completely different. It's just, especially my granddad, more than my nan, is very worded about it. Like, he will openly say something, and he doesn't realise the way he's saying it is, like, offensive. And it's like, we were watching something on the news a couple of months ago, and he was just like, oh, it's wrong, like, it's in all the TV shows, blah blah blah, and I was just like, I can't remember exactly what it was, and I was just like, but what's wrong with that? And he's like, it's just not right, it's like in all the TVs, and we started getting like in an argument about it, and like I was just trying to remember, like, they've got different opinions on it, and it literally got to a point where I walked out. I started putting my coat and shoes on, and Nan went, are you going? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh no, you don't have to go. And I'm like, Nan, I have to go, because if I don't go now, I'm going to say something I regret. And then I walked out, and then I went back the next day, and I sat my nan and granddad down really sternly and went, you're going to listen to me, right? And I went, look, I 100% get that you have different opinions and beliefs, because, you know, you grew up in a time where it's different. I get that, I really do, and I completely understand that. In my opinion, you can have whatever opinion you want, belief you want, as long as you do not push that on me, push that on other people, or be offensive, then I don't care.
I think
it's
that's
just the
thing,
way my granddad says something. Like, he'll say something and then he doesn't think about what he says.
There's no filter there.
He has no exactly, he has no filter, and that is what gets me. And it's like, my mum, when she was younger, like, about our age, he actually asked her, are you gay? Because she'd been hanging around with a female friend, like, loads, and they were really close. And she was saying to me the other day, God forbid she said no, but God forbid I turned around and said yes. So I don't know, I got to think, like, imagine what would have happened.
I think it's hard, isn't it? Because obviously you do have the generational divides on it, but at the same time, I think I was so upset and shocked at how many people of our generation still don't understand and agree with it. Like, to me, that's so upsetting, because we're, you know, to my knowledge, we're supposed to be the generation that's so much more open, so much more just accepting of different people, gender, sexuality, whatever. Like, it's fine, be who you are, but actually, like, just from being back in mainstream education and being surrounded by people my own age again, it's really terrifying to see how many people aren't like that. And it's like insane to me that how common stuff like homophobia and transphobia and stuff like that is still part of everyday society, and it seems not to get acknowledged at all.
See, it's like a good example from this kind of like not being accepted and the shockingness of it is Grey's Anatomy. I'm just going to really sum this up. So there was a character, Dr. Callie Torres. She originally was just dating males. And she actually got married to one of the other doctors, George O'Malley, and then after they got divorced, and eventually after he died, but she kind of started liking this female doctor who was openly gay, Dr. Arizona Robbins, and she started questioning her sexuality. Thank you. And she started, going out with Arizona, still very unsure of herself, and then she openly admitted she was bisexual because she still had the odd fling with Mark and stuff like that. And then it got to a point, when they were really steady, they got engaged. Her and Arizona broke up at one point. She had a one night stand with Mark and got pregnant, and then her and Arizona got back together. So still having the baby, all three of them are really close. And so they have this baby, and the mum and dad are it gets to their wedding day, the day before their wedding. And the mum's just like, oh, you haven't held the baby yet, do you want to hold her? And she's like, no, I'm going to go to the toilet, I'm going to wash my hands, blah, blah, blah. We've got to get this done. Because obviously, it's A, a baby conceived out of marriage, B, a baby conceived in a really odd way, the relationship status. And then it gets the mum actually leaves, no, I'm sorry, I can't, this isn't normal, this isn't easy for me, this isn't normal. And then she actually leaves, and the dad leaves eventually as well. So she basically has no parents on her wedding day, and it gets to her wedding day, and Mark walks her down the aisle because her parents aren't there. And then it gets to the father-daughter dance, and Arizona was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I was meant to tell the DJ not to do it, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, look, you go dance with your dad's here. She's like, okay. And then she's like, I won't dance, I'll just stand it out. And Mark's like, no, you won't. And he starts dancing with her. And then her dad actually comes in and is like, no, you won't, because I'm going to dance with you. And she's like, oh my God, you came. And he literally got like halfway home and he turned or halfway to the airport, and he turned the car around because he said, I've always wanted to dance at my daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like earlier on, when she admitted to him that she was bisexual, that she was gay, he was like, no, it's wrong, it's against our religion, because they're really strong Christians.
Yeah.
And like he originally like kind of disowned it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then she started not attacking him such with bits from the Bible, like blessed are those blah blah blah, and just saying, like, I still have faith, I'm just dating who I want to be, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And then so that's kind of that, and I really loved how they did that, because it was so realistic in terms of, she questioned her sexuality.
Yeah.
She still wasn't sure even when she was in a relationship. She then openly came out as bisexual.
It's just about the journey, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like through the religious beliefs and stuff like that.
I think something I've had a conversation with the other day, actually, with my driving instructor, funnily enough. My driving instructor is a lesbian, and we have these conversations sometimes, and she turned around and said to me that she thinks that bisexual people are one of the most oppressed in the LGBTQ community, and I think that's really accurate. And I know, like, because actually biphobia is a huge issue in the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of gay and lesbians and stuff that hate bi people because they don't
because they think they're fake.
They're fake gay, or they think, oh, they're just gay people that haven't come out yet, or they think, like, oh, you just want to.
I can also imagine like being bisexual, and I can speak for this because I am bisexual. I openly say I'm bisexual. Because at the end of the day, I don't know until I try. I'm not saying like I'd go for a girl, I'd go for a guy. Whoever comes along that I like. But I can imagine them, like, whether you say that they're most depressed, because in a way they're the ones questioning their sexuality the most.
Yeah, it's a really confusing time. And like when I came out, I was really, really young. I was like 9, because I kissed a girl, and I literally kissed a girl and liked it. Thank you, Katy Perry, for that. But yeah, so from then I was kind of like, I imagine that I'm bi, or I like girls as well as boys. And I think when you again, not trying to get into too much detail, not trying to make it too crude or anything, but when you become a more, when you create your sexual identity and you start experimenting with your sexuality in a more physical way with people, it's really confusing, because actually if I think it's definitely a really good point, Dharma, because actually like, if you're straight, you have sex with a man or a woman and you're like, that's for me, that's the one, that's the ticket.
Yeah.
And then if you're a lesbian or gay, you might have sex with someone of a different gender than you, and you go, I didn't really like that. Then you have someone of the same gender as you, and you like it, and then you're like, oh, that's great. Right, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
And then you have bi people who like, we just don't know what's going on. It's really confusing.
It's like I knew someone through, I think it was through my old cadets or something like that, I can't remember. But it was through something in my life.
Yeah.
And she's like, I had been like not openly bisexual, but more leaning towards the lesbian side of things. Like most of the people I dated were female.
Yeah.
And then I ended up marrying a male.
Yeah.
And it confused me, but he came along and I fell in love with him and I was happy with him.
Yeah, I think it is definitely difficult, and like I said, biphobia is a real issue, and actually like it's really, really difficult for, well, I find it difficult anyway, for people of the bisexual community. And actually when you do get a partner, there is this almost this hidden rule being in quotation marks that like, if you're bisexual, it means you're more promiscuous. So it seems like trying to find a relationship with someone who's bisexual is really, really difficult. For me to try and find a relationship with someone is really difficult. But so we are actually running out of time. I'm just going to say that because we're running out of college day. And going on from the Grey's Anatomy example, it is another Grey's Anatomy example, but it's a more recent one, which I quite like, in the fact that basically he came out as gay, but he did have an experience with a woman. He's now dating on and off one of the other doctors who is openly gay anyway. You see them kind of flirting. He's kind of questioning, like, do I want to do this? Like, is he, isn't he? He's still very confused, because he actually admitted that he'd not had experience, like, he's not had the time to experiment, so he's really unsure still. And they end up having, like, real moments. Like, he admitted that to him, to his partner, in the back of an ambulance during a storm, and
it's just really nice to see how like open he is about
Yeah.
it. And it's like another example that I can think of, like I can't remember his name for the life of me, but it's another Grey's Anatomy doctor. He's openly transgender, from female to male.
Yeah.
And basically in one episode where the hospital gets hacked, he's able to kind of he's like, FBI show up, you know, kind of just like, no, we don't want you doing anything. And it's not in that sense that he's transgender, in the sense of he's got a record, and Bailey finds that out because he's able to do stuff. And like there's other recent episodes he's able to hack and stuff, and she's just like, yeah, I want to know why you've got a record. And he went, he hacked into the database because they refused to change his gender on his ID from female to male. And he's like, do you know how like
upsetting
that is? I couldn't come out. And instead of like firing him, which technically Bailey should have done in the defense that he had a criminal record, and
but at the same time it's all about the reasoning behind it, and it's not real, is it? It's all, you know.
And she looked at him and went, he's like, because of that I'm now proud trans man. And she looked at him and she wanted to go. I was just like sat there going, what? Because they did it so right. It wasn't just a case of, oh yeah, he did this, he did that. He hacked a thing to get his identity changed. Like, come on, people. And it was just perfect. Grey's Anatomy is just perfect. I have other examples, but we're just running out of time and I just can't.
We have a lot still to cover, so I'm gonna move swiftly on.
Yes, please do, because I will talk forever.
My next point, that we've covered quite a lot of it actually, to be honest, but I want to look at queer coding because I'm really interested in it. I don't know if you guys are. But it's the ideal that the villain mostly is in some way, shape or form part of the LGBT community. So like Ursula is meant to be a drag queen. Scar, Jafar.
All of them are
they're meant to be gay. Who else is there?
Oh, just loads of them.
Pretty much every villain.
Every villain is got some
either
kind of...
got like makeup. They have very effeminate movements to them. Even if they and the only way I can put it is come out as the villain at the end. They suddenly, there's a switch that's flicked and they're suddenly gay.
You look at Hans
very strange.
from
Frozen.
As soon as he, sorry, spoilers guys, but as soon as he goes evil and says, oh, if only someone loved you. All of a sudden, even it, like you said, down to his body language, there's all of a sudden so much more camp and so much more like, oh, I wanted to move along with Elsa, but nothing happened. And it just seems to be, I think queer coding is definitely a really big... I talked about it a lot, not trying to plug my podcast, but I talked about it a lot on one of my podcasts I did about Disney pushing gender stereotypes. But it's definitely... I think it's very real. And like you look at stuff like the Hunger Games and like all the villains in that are all made up. They're made up.
They've got their colourful hair and they're all like... They're very prettied up.
And then all the heroes are...
rough and tumble,
wearing like camo, like even Katniss has got like her hair pulled back to make her look less feminine, and it's all about kind of masculinity equals hero, femininity equals villain.
Another thing we touched on it, I am going through these now.
It's fine.
Another thing we touched on was religious beliefs. That is a very big boy there. So I found myself a little chart about who accepts it and who doesn't.
Oh god.
I know. So the two that people...
just before you say it, we in any way are not intending to offend anyone. No. We just make this a thing. If we feel like there's a chance it could offend someone, we're just going to say it. We're not doing it as like an intention. I just thought I'd add that in there.
Bad.
This is just facts off the internet.
I'm just saying that just so we're covered.
So the two that people don't really know about is Hinduism and Buddhism, because there's nowhere in their sacred texts that say anything about homosexuality. So I kind of find they're the even ground.
Because in those two beliefs, it's very much just about loving and just showing everyone love and respect, isn't it? So
yeah, definitely.
Who do you want to go through first? People they accept or people that deny?
Let's go deny. Then we can go to happiness.
Right, I'm going to have to move my laptop because you won't be able to hear me.
So sorry guys, just gonna be hearing you moving around.
There we go. So we got the American Baptist churches.
Oh god,
don't even get me started. Seriously, don't. Oh my god.
Assemblies of God.
What?
No idea.
What is an assembly of God?
Church of Mormons. Just Mormons.
Yeah.
Islam.
Yeah.
Lutheran, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
I swear you just lose woman.
I mean,
That's what I heard.
National Baptist Convention. Orthodox Jewish Movement.
Okay.
Roman Catholics, guys.
what a shocker.
Southern Baptist. And United Methodist.
So the Methodists and Baptists seem to be a really big thing, isn't it?
Most of them are actually American churches. So.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the first one you said, oh my, that just makes me think of that show I watched.
Should we go through the people that...
Yeah, please do. Stop knocking your microphone, Jess.
Sorry. Conservative Jewish Movement.
Cool.
Yep. Oh my god. I can't read that, it's too small. Evangelical Lutheran Church in America.
Right.
Presbyterian Church. Reform Jewish. Society of Friends, also known as Quakers.
Oh, I love Quakers.
I love that they're called the Society of Friends.
It's just great.
It's just so cute. Unitarian Universalist Association of Churches.
Wow.
That's a mouthful. And United Church of Christ.
I see. It's good to know that Christ has got a united church. I'm happy about that.
See, that's quite good. So...
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's quite a lot that don't accept.
Yeah, but there's actually quite a
and a
fair
lot of
amount
them,
that do.
a lot of probably that on the list that don't accept are now opening up.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, not necessarily opening up like everyone, but there are going to be people that are more understanding of it.
Yeah, it just depends on the individual church.
Exactly.
In my opinion, I think a lot of churches are more open than a lot.
And
more
it's like, in
open.
my opinion, because I've heard of it happening. You know, I know examples like and stuff of when people get basically like kicked out of their church because they've come out as gay, they've come out as transgender, and in my opinion, that is disgusting. It like
the thing is with religion, in my opinion, organised religion is very, very exclusive, and the fact of like you are not straight, therefore you are not right. In my opinion. It's just what I think, and that's very high up on the agenda in a lot of them. And I think like I said, it depends on the church. A lot of churches are very, very accepting, and it's very much of like, well, you know, the Bible was written a really long time ago. La da 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 da. It's all about interpretation. Personally, I think that's a little bit of a scapegoat. It isn't about interpretation.
No.
The Bible clearly says that homosexuality is a sin. It's not.
Yeah.
To me, there is no way of misinterpreting that as into being something else. However, it also says that wearing polyester is a sin, getting divorced is a sin.
Touching a woman while she's on her period is a sin.
Touching a woman while she's on her period.
If a woman's pregnant, she's not allowed in the church.
Oh, all that kind of rubbish that is just like, okay, so why is it they're so focused on this one thing and have forgotten all the other bullshit that has been
Women can't wear trousers. That's another one of my favourites.
There's lots of them that are in there that are obviously like, I don't know, just outdated, I suppose, but...
You know, guys, times are changing. It's time to move on with it.
Figure yourself out,
I think, like, recently I went to NCS. Just plug that as well. It's amazing. My NCS leader was talking to us at the end while we were waiting to get picked up. And we were talking about our sexuality. And we recently found out he's a Mormon. And we were all saying pretty much everyone in our group was either bi or gay. Yeah. And he went, I am the only religious person here, and I got the gayest group, and I love it. And I would not give it up for anyone. And I was like, you're a Mormon, so I love this, and it's amazing. Yeah. And it made me feel really emotional that it doesn't matter what his religion says. He's like, I love you guys.
Like Gracie said, it just depends on the individual, really, and obviously you have your religious beliefs, but then their soul beliefs
and their moral compass. I think that has a lot to do with
exactly. And I think it also depends on how they're brought up as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's to do with, you know, embedded messages and, you know, that kind of stuff from a young age, but also, like we've kind of joked about before, but I honestly do have a lot of faith in this theory that people that are so homophobic and so against it are normally gay because they're trying to repress their own feelings. And that's not me trying to like stereotype, but I just think there's a lot of sense in that. You know, you're so worried about something in yourself, you push it on to other people that it's wrong.
Yeah. Well done, guys. That sounded really good. Do you have anything else?
I have some interesting pointers that have happened over the years.
Yep, okay, so that was what I was going to bring up. So that is this is going to be the final major point of today, guys, because we are very, very quickly running out of time.
We have 4 minutes left till the end of college, so...
Yeah.
Yep, you know, my mum's picking me up and she's going to be very mad that I'm late, but oh well.
Oh well.
If I'm not here, if this is the last podcast, guys, because my mum's killed me, I love you.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm joking. Maybe. Love you, mum.
Right. Do you want me to just
Go
snap
for it.
them?
Go for it. Snap them out.
Right, I am going to have to move my laptop, otherwise I will sound...
Oh, Jessica, man!
Sorry. Okay, so 1912, London's first gay pub opens.
Whoop, whoop.
1924, the first gay rights group was founded in Germany by a group of women, lesbians.
Woohoo!
Love them. In 1951, Roberta Powell was the first known woman to undergo gender reassignment surgery.
Yay.
Good for her.
In 1967, the Sexual Offences Act decriminalises sex between two men over 21 in private, in quotations.
Yep.
28th of June, 1969, Stonewall Riots, USA. Big, massive moment.
Yep.
Where is my thing? In 1972, the first Pride March is held in London, hosting around 2,000 people.
London, I love you.
In 1973, homosexuality is no longer a mental illness.
Woohoo!
My mum has been alive for that to happen.
It's
mental. 1980, homosexual acts between two men over 21 is decriminalised in Scotland.
Oh, that's good to know. Good job, Scotland.
Yeah, well done, Scotland. Oh, I've lost my page. In 1992, the World Health Association declassifies same-sex attraction as a mental illness. That's like mental. It was only like
insane to me
12,
that's
13 years before we were born.
yeah.
Yep.
That's my brain.
April 2000, Vermont becomes the first state to legalise same-sex marriage.
Woohoo!
2002, same-sex couples are granted the equal rights to adopt. That happened in my lifetime.
That's
That
insane.
year. I was born that
Everything
year.
at this point just happened in my lifetime. June 2003, US Supreme Court strikes down the homosexual conduct law.
Yep.
2004, UK legalises civil partnerships. 17th of May 2004, first legal same-sex marriage in the US.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
In April 2005, Obama calls for an end to conversion therapy.
Yay.
Obama, we love and miss you, man.
Yeah.
We need you back.
Come back, please.
If you don't come back, Michelle, we need you.
Yeah. October 2009, the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act becomes a law.
Yay.
Why was that not a law in the first place?
I mean, but
Yeah.
that is always a question in everything, though, isn't it?
Exactly. September 2011, Obama revokes the Don't Ask, Don't Tell law preventing gay people from serving in the US Armed Forces.
Yeah, but then Trump came and pissed all over that. But that's another conversation.
Wow.
2014, gay marriage legalised in the UK.
It's crazy to think that was only 5 years ago.
5 years ago. 26th of June 2015, same-sex marriage made constitutional right in the US.
Woohoo! 2016,
there are 40 LGBT plus MPs in the Parliament in the UK, which is the most in the world.
Halla frickin' Luya.
How insane is
the
that?
UK
that is the
did
most...
something good.
Yeah.
And finally, the 22nd of January, this is the bad one, 22nd of January this year, Supreme Court allows Trump's transgender ban in the...
Are you okay, mate? Do you need help?
No, he's just a senile old man that needs to be put down at this point.
Literally.
We could go on to talk about that, but honestly, I don't want to in the fact that it's going to
it's
really
really
upset him.
We're very angry.
And we're very shortly running out of time. So I suppose we're going to leave you at that, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
No problem. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Again.
It's been lovely. I don't think this really deserves a summary because we did not expand on it like we did our feminism podcast. I do just want to apologise to earphone listeners because, you know, that last little bit we made a lot of sounds quite close to our microphone.
Yeah.
But we love you.
Yeah. We will see you later, guys. This has been Ourtake, and I hope you enjoy.
Thanks, Gracie, again.
Thank you.
We love you guys. We
Your
love
links will be in description below.
Yeah, links will be in description below. We love the Smugglers for letting us use their music.
Yeah.
I'm Dharma,
I'm Jess.
and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.